This one's a place rather than events. It's Caynton Caves, but it's been dubbed the Templar Caves by many who visit it. It has obvious connections to the Templars, but also has connections to Druid magic and possible slavery. I'm not sure about that one, or any of it really, but that's what I read. It should be a fun one to get into, but I've actually been there myself in the last year. I went there on my other channel, exploring with Eikenvargr. The spelling's in the description. If you want to see inside the cave, go check out the video. Anyway, out near Beckbury in Shropshire is a manor house called Caynton Manor. Just west of the manor is a field. You can walk into it through a gap in the fence, the bush and hedgerow, and then you walk along the field. You eventually come to a tree line and a little gap in the tree line with a barbed wire fence that's been like coiled round. You climb over, through, whatever you want to do. There's a small pathway that leads down, and in this little dell there's a load of rabbit holes, and one of the rabbit holes in the back left, it's dug out quite deep, and if you crawl down this unsuspicious looking rabbit hole, you can get inside of it. It sounds like it's dangerous, but I'm pretty sure it's stable. Though I'm not taking any responsibility if you go there and it collapses on you. Anyway, you go down the rabbit's hole, flick your torch on, and the first thing you see is a sandstone pillar with a little hole through it. And you can see right into the caves through this hole. So you sort of squeeze around that and start going down into the caves. And you'll be in a sort of a chamber, maybe 5 to 10 metres across each way, about 1.5 metres, 2 metres high. And all over the caves are like carvings of faces and demons, and people have carved their name everywhere. Mindless vandalism, but you know. The most interesting carvings in there. There's a side chamber in this first bit. It's kind of either been filled in or caved in, but you can still sort of crawl through this little gap. And in this little side chamber is a fleur-de-lis carving. That's one of the things that points to it being a Templar cave. And I know it could just be anyone's carved that, but Mark Lawton was exploring in there about 30 years ago, and he found this sword. Sort of found something poking out the ground, so he dug it out. It's a fucking really old sword. It's about 13th century, I think it is. And he left it sat on his windowsill for 30 years before he took it in an auction house and had it evaluated. And they said it was likely a 13th century weapon, probably carried by a knight. Though just because the sword was that old doesn't mean the person who dropped it was. It could have been a relic passed down through generations of knights or a family. The real history of this place is the mystery. Haha. The main theory is the boring one, so I'll get that out of the way. Is a quarry. After the quarry in the Legg family, if I mispronounce the name, I'm sorry. They carved out a grotto or a folly for meetings and conversations sometime in the 19th century. But there are people who speculate that the caves are a lot older than that, dating back to the 17th century. So basically the Templar theory is that after the Order of the Knights Templar were disbanded in 1312 by Pope Clement V, It's highly speculated that the order went underground and are in fact still around today, along with secrets that they possess. And a lot of people think that it could cripple the Catholic Church if they revealed what they knew. Wouldn't want that. Anyway, fearing the Vatican's wrath, the remaining Knights Templar go into hiding. One group ends up in England. Supposedly they dig these caves out of the sandstone. That's the sword and the fleur-de-lis. The other claims that the family that lived there had druidic rituals. Like, in the 18th century there was a druidic revival, and a lot of families took this further than others. The more prominent families around the time, they'd have a pet druid, I guess, that they'd have come and bless the houses. I don't know. But anyway, they'd be encouraged to live outside or in the caves, known as follies, or druids' grottos. And whenever guests would visit, they'd take them round to this grotto and show off the druid, as you do it. It's sort of a status thing, I guess. They're often compared to having the modern garden gnome, actually. One such estate nearby to Caynton is the Hawkston Estates. A quote of Sir Richard Hill, the owner from around the 18th century. He said, "You pull a bell and gain admittance. The hermit is generally in a sitting posture with a table before him, on which is a skull, the emblem of mortality, an hourglass, a book, and a pair of spectacles. The venerable barefooted father, whose name is Francis, if awake, always arises at the approach of the strangers. He seems about 90 years of age, yet has all his sense to admiration. He is tolerably conversant, and far from being unpolite." One of the stories about the Caynton Cave is that they held a slave in the grotto, and this was just after the slavery had been abolished. They wanted to keep theirs, basically. Most say it wasn't, but it was a druid, which, if you really think about it, it's the same thing. They're forcing these old people to just live in a cave and be a gnome. Anyway, close to the 1980s, this place has been, as close to the 1980s, sorry. This place has been used in ritual magic, supposedly occult and satanic meetings. Though the only things in there are an altar bowl, sort of, I don't know, about a foot across, and dozens and dozens of tea lights, which were used in a photo shoot, not satanic rituals. So, there's piles of rubbish everywhere. People using the place as like a party spot, raves or whatever. Clean up after yourself, you whelp. Anyway, I think that's it. So what's your opinion? Is it a grotto carved just to have the family sit around for a conversation? A Templar hideaway, so they can hide from the Vatican while they're on the run? One of the Druids' party piece follies for a gnome? Or maybe the darker story of the post-abolishment slave is real? Either way, go check out my other video. It will give you a sense of the place. I'll link this and the video into a playlist on the channel, so enjoy. Thanks again. Hope you've enjoyed watching. Remember to like and subscribe. Also, my other urban exploring channel, Exploring Eikenvargr. Just me and my friends exploring abandoned factories, buildings, military bases, caves. Thanks, bye.